And now we're back with the Why Was Banned from Blank series. Usually a fast food joint, though. Sorry about the break in between last name, but, well, after what happened at McDonald's, I kind of needed a breather. Then I just need a breather in general from this series thing, you know. Ugh. It's the fucking Poe one that gets me every time. Like, all the other ones are fine with the fact that it's just a mouth. It's just one of those things like, ugh.
So anyway, I have got yet another wonderful little story for you little shadows out there today. Mostly because of the fact that, like I said, I've been banned in numerous places.
Well, there's only 4 on this
and
playlist.
I truly mean that too. I have literally been banned in so many places that you know what?
No, last thing, there's not time to add more of them to
my
them.
last video, my last story time video. And today is going to be one of those kind of periods of times that I'm going to be completely frank here. This is probably going to be one of the worst ones out of all of them. I mean, granted, the Taco Bell one was really bad, and the Burger King one was kind of annoying.
McDonald's.
This one
Came
here
at your own
was
continuity
at
right.
Waffle House. Now, before I get into my story, I'm going to sit there and speak my mind on the concept
The
of
Taco Bell, the
Waffle
next episode on
House.
this playlist.
Waffle House, to me, is... Oh, to me, I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with
I've never
Waffle
been
House.
to Waffle House. I have
I mean,
no opinion.
I love Waffle
I
House.
love waffles.
For the fact of the
I
matter
don't
that
like
waffles are
pancakes.
absolutely delicious.
Whatever.
I love, like, you can put literally anything that you want in your freaking waffle. I mean, I think there was actually somebody who literally had their waffle covered in chili and cheese, and I just could not sit there and say how freaking genius that freaking is. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love me a good waffle taco. I love me a good waffle sandwich. I mean, seriously, take a nice, heated up freaking Belgian waffle or regular old waffle or whatever, stick like some burger patty or whatever, and then you got something fucking delicious.
I
mean,
wonder
that
how
guy
anyone
who did
ever
that
came to
was
the
literally a
concept
genius,
of.
in my honest
I
opinion.
wonder how anyone ever
But,
came to
yeah.
the concept that Americans
I mean, their
are
waffles
fat
are absolutely
asses.
delicious, and their hash browns.
It's absolutely
Oh my
ridiculous.
gosh, those are the best freaking things ever. I love how it's nice and crispy and crunchy.
No, you know this is an
and,
American
like, with
concept
waffles,
because
you
it
can
isn't
put
wrapped
anything
in
you want
bacon.
in it. They even have their entire little bit of they have their own little language, so to speak, for it. Scattered,
Then again, there probably
smothered,
is a
chunked,
waffle baconator.
diced, topped, cheese, whatever the fuck you want. They will put it on there. If you asked for freaking fruit preserves, they'd put it on there if you wanted it. I mean, hell, not like it matters anyway. I mean, they'll freaking do it for you regardless. They're getting paid for it.
Duh.
But even then, though, I still have a couple of issues with Waffle House in general. And this is where my hate kind of comes into it. I think the main reason why I don't particularly care for Waffle House too much is because of the fact that everything is more or less the same. There's not really that much of a I mean, there is a technically
It's
speaking
Waffle
variety in
House.
of its
The
own
name
self.
is on the
But
board.
even on, like, the other kind of varieties and things like that, it just doesn't really tend to work out for me.
It's like getting mad
Like,
at
for
Burger
example,
King for only selling
I remember
burgers.
one time before I went over
Well, they
to a
don't sell
youth group
just
of
burgers,
mine,
but you
I
get the
went
idea.
over to a Waffle House. And I remember getting a burger and
It's
some
like going
hash
into a
browns to go
GameStop and
with
being
it.
like, why are
Let me
there
tell you,
only
that
games
that
here?
burger was real tiny. And me, I was a grown boy. I needed my food. I needed to eat. And that little tiny burger and that small amount of hash browns was not enough to fill me up that night. I think I wound up stuffing myself entirely with the majority of the snacks that were wound up brought over. Thank God for that. But that's
You
not
think
the
that's
story
about
I'm
the
here to
McDonald's
tell you
burgers are getting
guys.
worse
What I'm
and
here to
worse.
tell you
A
is how
kid's
in the
meal is
world I
basically the
managed to
size
get
of a
banned
cookie
from
nowadays.
Waffle House. Now, compared to
Yeah,
the last
whatever.
two little videos I wind up making on this one actually more or less came by not with family, not with anybody, but between me and a friend of mine. His name was Daniel, and, you know, me and him were honestly pretty well acquainted together. You know, I was still in the process of driving, but if anything, he was a lot more experienced, so I'd let him drive around with me. And we would just hang out with one another, you know, do nothing else much, but just kind of go out and do anything that we can think of, movies, video games, anything you can think of, we pretty much wound up going out and doing it. It was pretty fun. And I remember with this one time we went on a road trip. This road trip pretty much went from Mississippi all the way, I think, to Nebraska. And let me tell you, it was a long way there. And I'm talking a very,
I've never been good at
very
geography.
long way there just to get. And we were doing this by car too. So
I've
it
got
just
from
kinda
Richard,
made
Massachusetts to
everything a lot
Glen, New
more
Hampshire, and took 6 hours.
painful at times.
Because a
Can't tell you
tanker
how many
truck
times I
tipped
literally
over
had to sit there and get out
on
of
the
car
highway
just to
and
freaking
had to
stretch
go,
my
it was
muscles,
just
'cause every
traffic
part of
bumper
my
to
body
bumper
was
the rest of the
numb,
way.
sitting in that freaking
Ugh.
seat all day.
It was
But
at that day my
anyway,
family, we
as
all
we were
suddenly
driving,
unanimously
I think
agreed,
this was around the time
never
we were
again
in
are we going to
Alabama or
Glen, New
something like
Hampshire
that. We
on
got up
vacation.
early and we went off to go and to our little trip. I don't exactly really recall where exactly we went to. I mean, I think we were probably going to go over to see like this crazy museum or something like that.
Honestly, I wouldn't mind going there again, but
ever.
that's how I never go
But
there.
even on that matter, we just kind of more or less
whatever.
wanted to do it more for the lulz or anything and to get away from everyone. So we were driving and everything, and we both got pretty darn hungry, which is kind of expected, especially if you're driving for like hours upon hours on end and not really making too many stops. So we get hungry and we decide to pull in for lunch somewhere. Now, unfortunately for both of us, there were not very many fast food joints at the exit that we went to. In fact, there was probably like one fast food joint, which was Burger King, and I was not in the mood for Burger King, and neither was he, but there was only one more place we could go to without sitting there and spending a fortune, and that was Waffle House. Now, like I said before, I have this love-hate relationship with Waffle House. So, personally for me, I didn't really object to it, but at the same time, it just didn't really sit well with me. But
You're right.
my friend
Best
was
starved
hungry
to
and I was
death.
hungry, and so we just ultimately decided to just go there and eat. Now, of course, they don't have a drive-through, which is fine with us. So we pull into the driveway, and we make our way out of our car, locking it,
I guess
and
the same
going
way
into
the
the
McDonald's and
restaurant,
stuff work.
making sure we had all the money that we needed. We pay with cash. We don't really do credit cards. So
Agreed.
as we walk in, we get the typical greeting.
Don't
from
use
about
credit
20
cards unless
people.
I have to.
Nothing really out of the ordinary. And then we automatically go and sit down in one of the freaking booths. We don't really do seats, but we did booths. So we're sitting there, and we're taking a considerable look at the menu and everything, and I'm just staring at it. I mean, the main thing I normally get if I do go there is the all-star breakfast, because to me that has the most food. But this time around, I was not in the mood to eat breakfast food because I think I was kind of going down with something, and there was like this egg issue that was going on in the country. I don't know what there was going on, but there was problems. So instead, I decided to flip the menu over, and I see this brand new chef special. I didn't know exactly what it was at first, but it had like this big old giant sticker literally plastered on the menu that said Chef Special, only $6.95.
That doesn't sound that bad.
Here's my thing when it comes to specials. You have to be extremely wary when it comes to ordering anything that has to do with chef's request or chef's special, because oftentimes or not, whenever you get it, it looks like a giant puddle of mud that literally seemed to be gotten out of the freaking backyard of someone's house. And also,
But then it tastes good, so
it
you don't
moves.
care.
Yeah,
Ew.
that's actually been a bit of an occurrence whenever it comes to ordering those kind of things. Last time I got one of the chef's specials, I literally think my food started moving off of my plate. In fact, it actually did that, and I wound up turning into some kind of weird alien species that the only way you could get rid of it was performing a full-on exorcism in Latin, which is ultimately what I had to do, and of course I wound up saving a ton of people that day. But it was still pretty gross when you had to sit there and have all that gunk literally explode after you splatter that thing with holy water. But anyway, Chef Special was obviously very suspicious to me. I didn't really trust it, but at the same time though, whenever I looked at the rest of the menu, nothing else really seemed good. And I knew one thing is to never get the pork chops, because the pork chops were never really seasoned well. And they didn't exactly taste too great, and I was not in the mood
being
for an
given
all-star
by a
breakfast.
kid who didn't
And
read
I
the
certainly
book.
was extremely hungry for something big and filling.
And then
So-
aliens attacked.
After a little bit of time, I decided to more or less cave in and order the chef's special. And my friend, looks around, he gets the all-star breakfast. The waitress comes, and she's, like, talking in this weird Valley Girl kind of voice. Like, okay, sir, like, what would you guys like? And she's, like, really annoying, which seems to be a very common trend. And it seems like I'm the weird kind of guy, magnet, or whatever you want to call it that way, that gets the worst of the worst when it comes to, well, employees. But obviously I was being nice, didn't want to act rude. I was a nice guy until you started screwing with me, then I get mean, but still. And I just remember looking up at her, and I told her I wanted a Dr. Pepper, or in this case a Mr. Pibb, because that's all they had, and I wanted to get the chef's special. Now here's the thing that should have immediately shot up red flags in my head. When I ordered the chef's special, the waitress literally snapped her head up and then stared at me with eyes literally saying, "What? You want to order what now?" And she's actually so paralyzed with fear that she actually drops the notepad that she was using to write our orders on the ground. and her jaw
fact that you didn't see
fell
that-
to the ground.
Okay,
In a very
you
comedic
didn't
way,
see
but
that as a
still,
red
it made me
flag?
really question how exactly that was even remotely possible, due to the fact that the human jaw can only extend so far. But her jaw, and well
Fucking
as every
Jamie
other
from
aspect of
Aladdin.
her mouth,
Bang.
fell to the ground in a comedic kind of way, and I was like kind of freaked out, and I was like, "What? It's just the chef's special. What's the big deal about that?"
Did you really not?
She starts shaking. The woman herself starts shaking in more ways than one. And
How
I'm
many
thinking that
ways
she's
are
having
there
a
to
seizure or
shake?
something, and I'm pulling out my phone, and my friend's at a point trying to calm that woman down. And I'm about to call 911 until she finally speaks again. Are you...
Blah, blah, blah. Oh God, not this again.
That, sir? She says. And I put my phone down, and I look back up at her. And I say, I mean, if it's a problem,
No!
I'll order something else, but, I mean, but that's kind of what I want. I want the chef special.
Okay, if that happened to me, I'd be like, we are
And it
getting the
was
fuck out of
when
here
I
and going to
finally
Burger
confirmed
King.
that
Fuck
the
this.
order and
Fuck
everything
this.
that I wanted to give, that was when her expression changed from being absolutely terrified to looking at me as if I was about to die. And
You're about
I
to
just
die,
remember her
sir.
picking up
Ugh.
her thing, picking up her notepad, writing down whatever it was that I ordered with my drink, and then taking my friend's order, and then just
The worst part
looking
is
at
she
me with
came-
this really insane
Well, the worst
amount
part
of
is this has
sadness
nothing
in
to do
her
with the chef
eyes.
special. The girl came back with a
it looked
Mountain
like
Dew, and that's the
she
problem with the
herself was gonna
episode.
I don't know. It was freaking me out. So anyway, she goes off into the back for some odd reason, which is weird because normally whenever you go and get food, there's a grill and everything already like right across from where the booths are. However, it was certainly odd over the fact of the matter that she didn't go there, and nor did she sit there and hand that to any of the chefs or the cooks that were there. In fact, now that I think about it, even some of the chefs and the cooks and the other employees were looking at me with like this hateful glare. And when I mean hateful glare, I mean they looked like they wanted to kill me. One person even wanted
Probably
to
'cause
shine
they
a
did.
knife at my face. I
Dear
don't know why
God.
they were so pissed off at me. I mean, it made no sense. All I did was order a freaking meal, a chef's special. That's all I ordered. And I just remember looking over to my friend, like saying, "What the fuck's going on? Like, why are they acting like this?" And he's pretty much saying, "I don't know, man. Do you just want to leave? We can go somewhere else."
Yes,
But
for
we
the
had
love
already
of
ordered our
God,
food.
yes.
If anything, I think it would have been a lot more of an insult to just automatically plop up and leave.
Boo-hoo,
Especially
you look
seeing
like you're
how
trying to kill
apparently
me.
The chef's special was so damaging or something along those lines, so yeah, I ultimately
You were threatening to kill
protested
me,
and said
but
that we
I
should
don't
say.
want to insult you.
Now,
Fuck
a
off.
few minutes pass and everything, and we're waiting for our food. Now, the chefs have already brought out my friend's food, and, like, he's sitting there, but he doesn't eat it in front of me, because he has this thing where he doesn't eat anything until the other person gets their food, which I'll admit is actually very respectful in one way or another. But I remember when the other waitress started,
I wouldn't give
handing
a
them the
fuck.
food, she looked at me and flipped me off for some reason. I mean, I didn't know what in the world was going on, but it was... I knew that something was wrong. I knew that something was extremely wrong, especially knowing the fact of the matter that the waitress that from earlier didn't come back with the food. Like, the waitress that took both of our orders should have been the one that handed the food over to my friend. Yet another waitress did that for her. And that's not normal. I mean, unless for some
Nope.
reason they're sick or something or on break. But even on that matter, though, it was completely weird. It was weird. It was just, yeah, it was bad. And just as my friend is about to sit there and take a bite out of his hash browns, we hear a very loud scream coming from the back room. It made everyone, including myself, jump. And the screams kept on going. Like, they just kept on going. And it sounded like the woman who had taken our order. And I'm a little bit confused at this point in time. I didn't know what in the world to do. I mean, I looked over at the other employees, and they just continued to stare at me.
Okay, this is the
It
second
seems as
episode
if they
I've
themselves
watched in a row
knew
where
what
you've
was
been
going
eating
on,
the
but couldn't do
staff.
a thing
This is
about
a
it.
running trend. A
And
running gag.
I was honestly going to sit there and go in the back and
If
literally
this happens
see
at
what was going
Taco
on,
Bell, I'm
but
convinced
just
Lost
as I
Name's
was
a
about to do
cannibal.
that, one of the cooks threw a knife at me. It didn't hit me,
What?
but they threw it at me. and they told me to sit the fuck down.
Knowing
That
in
was
this
what they told
series
me
he
to
would have
do.
been stabbed and killed and still be
And with
here.
as much hesitation as I could,
Why
I
not? It
sat
isn't
back
real,
down
and
in
it
my
both anyway.
booth while my friend kept on eating, although he himself looked extremely unnerved as well. So, another few minutes pass and I'm still waiting for my food. And at this point in time, I'm not even getting hungry anymore. I'm just more or less freaked out and concerned about what's going on in the back of that kitchen. And after a few minutes, the waitress from earlier comes out. But she's completely and utterly, how do I put it? Disheveled, maybe? Something along those lines? Her clothes are, in a sense, are rather torn. And parts of her... She looked like she had been, like, beaten by somebody. Because she had black eyes, and she had, like, so many other horrible things done to her. Her uniform was torn in certain places. It made no sense what was going on with this thing.
Shit.
I mean, I didn't know what was going on. And I just remember her looking at me with tears literally streaming down her good eye and her bad eye with a little bit of blood out of it. And just taking the meal that was, for some reason, served on like a silver platter and a dome around it. You know those fancy kind of things. That
She can have the big reveal
thing.
thing.
Up and there's your food. That was exactly what I was served. And I remember her just literally putting it down and jumping over our freaking table and running out the door. Screaming. As she did. And I'm looking down at my what looks to be my meal. And I'm extremely hesitant to open that thing up. I didn't know what in the world I wanted to do. I didn't know what exactly I was going to find. The tension was
a new car!
However, it seemed to me that there wasn't I didn't have much of a choice because a couple of the cooks, even some of the waiters, started pulling out their own butcher knives.
Of course.
Threatening me in ways if I didn't sit there and began eating what was served in front of me. So, with much hesitation, I grab at the lid and I slowly open it up. And apparently my friend's just sick and tired of the tension, so he literally yanks my hand up and I reveal the entire meal. What I saw confused me. And I know I say things were confusing. The stuff that I was served was very confusing. It was a big old bowl. Although maybe not, probably about a big soup bowl. About that much. Inside of it was a gray liquid. A gray liquid that just sat there. If anything, it kind of reminded me of Jell-O in a sense. I mean, imagine that, gray Jell-O. How gross does that sound? And, you know, I don't know what in the world to think. It's just there. And there's like a silver spoon
grocery stores. Go to the grocery store.
And it does not look appetizing at all. It looks absolutely disgusting in more ways than one. It makes me actually want to go in the bathroom and puke my guts out. But I ordered that thing, and obviously the chefs there were wanting me to eat it.
Clearly.
So I take my spoon, and I grab it, and I slowly go down and I poke it. Because that's what you do with food, especially mystery meat food. I poke it, and that shit jiggles. It jiggles, people. It's like Jell-O.
It's Jell-O,
It is actually quite literally Jell-O consistency. It bounced. It moved. That was exactly what I saw. And then when I went to put it into my spoon, I scooped out a little bit of it. And it looked disgusting. It was gelatinous, it was freaky, and it glowed. Let me ask you a question. What kind of food glows? I mean, not even drinks or something that glow are actually glowing on their own accord. It's usually a glow stick or something that's put into the drink or something.
But what's a glow stick in that drink?
That stuff
That's something that's given the state of the world. Someone probably was
gray
fucking
on the outside,
up enough to do
had
that.
Greenish tint to it. Was disturbing, freaky, and just downright in more ways than you would think.
Oh god! And this is a shark woman again. No.
There and slowly putting it to my lips, and I take it and I put it in my mouth. The taste was about as bad as you would think it would be. It tastes like copper. Like blood. And if you don't know
You know
what blood tastes
copper
like,
blood,
take a copper
okay.
penny and put it in your mouth. That's what blood
No.
tastes like. However, this one had a lot more of an irony taste to it, with the mixture of copper. And it was very hard. It was hard to even keep in my mouth, and I spat it out. And that's when the employees themselves more or less started freaking out. They at least for a few seconds, they started freaking out, and then they just stopped, right in the middle of what they were doing. And their eyes rolled in the back of their heads. They do. Like some kind of freaking exorcist kind of shit. And I'm looking down at this meal that I have, and you know how I was saying in the past about, the last thing food I had that moved? I was actually more or less joking about that, but when I actually looked down at the meal, it was moving. It was literally moving right in front of me.
That's
And
not
it started
alarming in the
floating
slightest.
up in the air, spinning around like a top, and then it divided itself mid-air and threw itself into the employees,
Well,
going
fuck.
straight into their mouths and down their esophagus.
It's flubber.
And then they start convulsing. They start convulsing, and they start screaming and yelling and everything. And then next thing I know, they all fall to the ground. And
Fuck.
I'm looking over at the counter, trying to see if any of them are even all right. I mean, I'm
trying to figure out
freaking
what the fuck
My
this has to do with
friend's freaking out. Literally,
waffles.
the both of us are freaking the fuck out. I'm getting up and I'm calling the freaking cops. I'm trying to, see what's going on with these people, determine whether or not if they're alive. And then, once I finally get the call in, they all jump right back up. I'm not joking. They literally jump right back up. But it's like a freaking scene out of 28 Days Later. I'm not joking. These people were freaking zombified. But not in the way you would think. They're not like mindless little drones or anything like that. They're freaking angry, pissed off, wanting to rip your fucking flesh off and eat you in an instant. Kind of zombies, if you want to put them out there. Infected.
Always good.
And they're like freaking covered in blood. Their eyes are freaking, like, the white is no longer white in their eyes. It's red. And their eyes are like,
I'm calling the
pitched out
cops.
to the point where they're like, they look like fucking demons. And they're all just staring at they're staring at us. And then one of them lunges themselves at us, like screaming, like I'm talking.
If you knew this would
death
happen,
cry
why
and
would you
everything.
put this on the
Thankfully
menu?
for me, I managed to have my freaking knife on me. And I took it out and I stabbed at the guy in the freaking skull, and it thankfully killed him instantly.
Oh, thank God I killed a man.
Me and my friend, we're
killed a man
running.
before he could
We're
kill
about
me.
to literally get the hell out of the freaking.
About to. I would have run already.
We go and we start running. We literally barge out of that freaking door. But those things kept on chasing us. Even when we got
You
to the
didn't
car.
pay your
When we got
bill.
to the freaking car, and we started it up, those guys were literally banging their freaking heads in trying to get to us. Thankfully, though, we managed to get the hell out of there alive. Unfortunately, though, that meant not really taking the other assholes out that were trying to kill us. Which brings me to the reason why I was ultimately banned. Like with the Taco Bell incident, I was mailed a letter from the Waffle House Corporation. And they told me, because of the fact of the matter that I had the audacity to order the chef's special, and
That you put on the menu.
Apocalypse to happen in that specific state I was literally staying at, thus having the entire state pretty much quarantined, and, well, everyone pretty much turning into a fucking rage-inducing zombie, I was forever banned from all Waffle Houses in that area. And I am no longer stepped 20 or 30,000 feet away from a specific restaurant. Hell, I'm even freaking banned from Alabama itself. So, even then, though, I wound
Unfortunately,
up not
why I
only
was banned from
completely
Alabama
ordering the
doesn't
wrong
sound as
thing and thus
interesting
never
somehow.
getting filled up, but I also wound up having to sit there and deal with the fact that I caused a fucking zombie apocalypse to happen for like an entire freaking state. I mean, hell, I think it's all over with now. They managed to contain it and kill off all the fuckers that were infected, but
And not put this on the
Even then,
news.
even then, though, they are still having to go through a ton of shit. And it's all because of me. And that, my little shadows, was the reason why I was banned forever from Waffle House in Alabama. Wasn't exactly a particularly fun kind of time, although I probably should have made it fun. I mean, hell, I should have brought my freaking gun with me or my flamethrower and I would have roasted some fucking zombies over the fucking grill. Unfortunately for me, though, I wound up ordering something that was disgustingly suspicious. I tasted it, I spat it out, it went in everyone's mouths, and the next thing I know, the zombie apocalypse happened. I single-handedly caused the apocalypse to happen. For at least
Thanks,
one state.
Obama.
And am I ashamed of that? No, I'm not. I will never be ashamed of the fact of the matter that I caused that. And even though I got banned, it was still fucking hilarious in the end. Even though me and my friend nearly died. Oh, speaking of my friend Damien, he wound up getting bit somehow after going to Alabama somehow, and he got infected and subset, and ultimately he wound up getting killed by the FBI. So yeah.
Okay.
Rest in peace, David. Or Daniel. Whatever the fuck your name is, to be honest. But even then, though, that was pretty much my story on why I got banned from Waffle House. If you guys enjoyed this story, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
Well,
let me know what you guys
think
down in the comment section below. I'm probably going to start making these every single freaking day because I love making them so much.
Because it wasn't
and
what the fuck every 5 seconds.
My therapy bills. I apologize if this one wasn't
this one
exactly
seemed a bit more
funny,
down to
but when you
earth
think
until
about
the
it,
end, but,
a gray slop or whatever that you eat turns into a fucking
and it was
zombie.
shorter, so that always helps.
You gotta admit, that
it
is
didn't
pretty
go on
damn
for
funny.
37
Overall,
minutes.
though, that was my entire story. Thank you guys again for watching today's episodes. Also, a huge thank you to TJ Kirk for giving me the ideas to make this little series, thanks to his band series. Go and check out my first episode that I will link to his channel down in the comment section below. I'm the Shadow Eater. Thanks again for watching, and like always, roll the outro.
I'm the Great James signing off. Bye.